Welcome to Ghouls Night Out with your hostesses, Brandy and Jody.
Hello, beautiful ghouls. Welcome. This is Brandy. I'm here with my sister, Jody.
Hello.
So I have a stupid joke.
Okay.
Why couldn't Dracula's wife fall asleep?
I don't know.
Because of his coffin.
Oh my gosh. That's bad.
Stupid joke. Okay. And now I have some funny student driver stories from instructors.
Okay.
First one, my instructor said that a girl was turning into and out of lanes wildly, trying to turn off the turn signal.
Oh my gosh.
Next one, my uncle frequently tells the story of the time his driving instructor died during his first lesson, and he was given some award from the town for driving the body to a hospital.
Oh my gosh.
That's insane! Oh my God, I would freak out. There's no way I would sit in a car with a dead body all the way to the hospital. So yeah, that's crazy. Next one, she was approaching a yellow light going the speed limit of 50 kilometers per hour. Is that what kph would be?
Yeah.
She saw her chance to strike and makes a jump for the light going 15 kilometers per hour over the speed limit and catching the yellow light. While doing this, she yells at the instructor, "We can make it!" Like she came from Top Gun training and zooms through, only to find out she didn't pass when she completed the course.
She probably saw her parents do that and thought, that's how you do it. I don't know.
You just go faster. Next one, she would just drive without correcting her steering at all and would start to go off the street unless my mom reached over and corrected the wheel for her. No matter what my mom did or said, she would constantly just drift off the road. So my mom took her out to an old, wide-open dirt road where she could just let the lady drive and see how far off the road she could go before she realized what she was doing. She just drifted off the road, going a good 20 feet, and would have kept going into the fields if my mom hadn't stopped the car and asked her, "Look where we are. Look where the road is. What the fuck are you doing?" After that, my mom finally gave up on her and told her husband and son that she could not drive a vehicle and she could not learn how to drive a vehicle. Only student my mom ever gave up on.
Oh my gosh.
What the fuck? How is this person still living? If you don't correct, oh my God, I can't comprehend that. All right, next one. I got into a car for one of my first lessons, and there was plastic fruit taped to the dashboard. My instructor saw me glance at them, and it was like the floodgates opened, and all of the months of pent-up frustration came pouring out. Apparently, he had been teaching this middle-aged woman for almost a year at that point. She kept failing the test, once because she tried to turn left onto a roundabout. Another time, she was told to drive towards a certain town, so she stopped in the middle of the road to carefully read the sign in front of her.
Oh my gosh.
She was like, why not just tell her to turn left, and if you already knew she was that incompetent? Well, she also had a huge problem telling apart left and right. That week, my instructor had finally given up on debating the difference with her and taped his kid's toy fruit to the dash so he could go, "Turn towards the grapes or the bananas, please."
Oh my gosh.
Which seemed to work much better.
Wow.
Like, just, you can't drive.
Yeah. Just give up at that point.
There's public transportation. Take advantage of it. Okay. Next one, my instructor was telling me about this one guy who he assumed had ADHD or something, who had already passed his test a few years ago, but wasn't confident on the roads and wanted extra lessons. So one day, they're on the motorway, and the guy pulls out his phone and starts playing Pokemon Go. My instructor was in disbelief.
Wait, who was playing Pokemon Go?
dude driving.
What?
Apparently.
Oh my gosh.
What a moron. No, how did he pass the test if he was that stupid? Oh my God. Next one, my driving partner had been missing a lot of turns, and finally the instructor had to slam on his brake when she completely ignored a massive temporary stop sign, almost taking out an elderly woman in the process. Turns out my partner had 20/200 vision, but her glasses were broken and she hadn't had the time to get them replaced yet. White-knuckled our way through the rest of the month.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's stupid. My driving instructor told me of Edna. At 84 years old, she was adamant that she wanted to learn to drive. After over 300 lessons with the instructor, Bernie still didn't think this woman could be trusted behind the wheel by herself. He would not, in confidence, lend his car for her driving test. He had his hand on the steering wheel most of the time, since she would turn wherever she looked, and often that was towards pedestrians.
Oh.
So does Edna give up? No. She purchased her own brand new car and took the driving test 13 times. She finally passed, then rear-ended a truck not a week later. Dude, give up.
Oh my God.
Sometimes giving up is okay. If it's not meant to be, it's not freaking meant to be, dude.
You know, our grandma never learned how to drive.
I know.
That's crazy to me.
I know. I had a friend, which I'm only friends with her on Facebook now, so we don't really talk, but she never learned how to drive either.
That's so weird to
Some
me.
people just don't, they don't have the patience for it, or they don't care to, or they're scared. I think that's a lot to do with it. But yeah, I mean, and it's a big thing. If you think about it, it's dangerous.
Yeah, it is.
And it's the number one cause of death, and, like it's crazy. So I get it. I get why people are scared too, and, that's not like their top priority. But man, the freedom
I know,
is
exactly.
worth it.
That's my thing. It's like, I need to be able to go if I want to.
Exactly. Yeah. I cannot depend on.
No.
Yeah. It's just. Yeah. Okay. When I went to take my test, the instructor got in and commented on the car being clean. She was quite happy because earlier in the day she had been giving a test and felt something odd on her arm. They had hit a bird on the way to the exam and stuffed it in the center console with feathers sticking out. She told the examiner they were keeping it for dinner.
What?
So apparently, she was giving a test to the Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh my gosh! What the hell? That's gross.
That is, it's not illegal anymore though. You can totally eat roadkill.
Ew.
Yeah, they passed. I think the last state passed a law
Why?
so people can eat roadkill.
Oh my god.
If they find it, they eat it. I don't know. Ew. I wouldn't do that. It's not me.
That's nasty.
Yes, it is. Anyway, next one. My dad used to be a driving instructor. He once had a student who took the instruction to drive straight over the roundabout, literally.
Oh my god.
And the student attempted to mount the large curved roundabout before my dad grabbed the wheel to correct him. Aw.
Wow.
Next one. A former driving teacher told us a story about a girl, first time driving, flipped the car on its back during a road practice with another student in the car in the back seat. The car was on a low-rise bridge. She hit the guardrail and the car came crashing down and landed on its back. The first thing my driver instructor heard immediately after the crash was the kid in the back saying, "Well, I guess I'm not driving today." Thank God everyone was okay. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. Not me personally, but a friend of mine is an instructor. As a rule, you never take your eyes off the pupil, but during a lesson, something caught his eye on the side of the road. They were doing about 30 in a built-up area, and as he turned back at his pupil, she was completely asleep.
What?
Turned out she had narcolepsy and never told anyone. lesson over. And my last one. At a rest stop, the instructor tossed the keys to the student driver who missed the catch. The car keys fell down a storm drain, and they spent the next half hour trying to fish them out with a set of golf clubs.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
All right, those are my stories for the beginning.
All right. I did Ghosts of Ohio.
Okay.
Fudge Road Bridge in Gratis, Ohio. Fudge Road is a narrow gravel track which winds its way through the most rural part of Preble County. At one point, a steel bridge carries the road across Ackerman Creek. It is said that a young mother threw her unwanted newborn off the bridge, or in some versions of the tale, the baby was stillborn and the mother hung herself from the bridge. Whatever version is more accurate, the fact remains that today motorists crossing over Fudge Bridge,
Yeah, say that 5 times
Fudge
fast.
Road Bridge can hear an infant crying as they park at the bridge and say "Mama" 3 times.
Oh, that's creepy.
Another tale linked to the creepy bridge states that a mysterious beast lurks in the nearby woods and takes shelter under the bridge, growling at passing motorists.
Oh, like a troll?
That's what it sounds like.
Don't trolls live under bridges?
Yes, I think so.
Oh my gosh.
Staley Road in Carlisle, Ohio. Sometime in the early 1800s, pioneer John Wrench engaged the services of the 3 Staley brothers to build a flour mill. The finished structure was to become the first double-wheeled mill in Ohio. Business was great, and after several years, Wrench had made enough money to retire and ended up selling his mill to Elias Staley. The mill was then passed down to his brother Andrew and continued to produce flour until 1905. Today, the mill is standing in Staley Road, named for the brothers, winds its way past and through the woods. It has become something of a rite of passage for local teens to drive this road at night as a demonstration of their courage. It has been said that Old Man Staley went on a murderous rampage and is now haunting motorists say that they often experience unexplained car trouble, and some have even seen Staley's ghost standing to or even lying in the road.
Oh my gosh. Why would he be lying in the road?
I don't know. That reminds me of Pat Kelly Road.
Yeah.
In Fortville, Indiana.
Yeah.
It's a road that is in between. There's two cemeteries, one on each end of the road, and then a bridge in the middle.
Yeah. I have a creepy story about that. I wasn't there, but I had a pretty big group of friends in high school. And, in high school, we would always drive down Pat Kelly Road. Well, this one time, it was 2 girls and a guy, and the guy was driving. And they said that they pulled up to the bridge and turned off their lights. It was like pitch black out there. There was like no moon or anything out there. And they were just kind of sitting there listening. And they said they were sitting there for a couple of minutes. And then all of a sudden, there was a car in front of them that turned on their lights.
Oh my God.
If they would have gone any farther, they would have hit them. They were like nose to nose on the freaking bridge.
Oh my gosh.
I know,
That's
it's crazy.
We used to do Chinese fire drills on that bridge.
I was part of a very elaborate prank on that road that the girl that we pranked believed it. I mean, for years. She told everyone in college that, I'll just tell it. It's kind of crazy. But, so, I have this friend, and she is dramatic. Let me put it that way. And Pat Kelly Road, it's in the middle of Indiana, and there's rumors around town that the KKK would meet there.
Yes.
And that was like their meeting, because there's these big barns on this road, and that's where they said that they would do all it.
Or out in the woods.
Yeah. Well, she was talking about one time how creepy it would be to see like KKK members up there. And obviously that would be fucking creepy.
Well, yeah.
Well, 2 of my girlfriends in high school made KKK outfits.
Oh, no.
And after a high school football game one night, it was me and the guy friend that we had, and then her, and then she actually had a foreign exchange student that they were hosting. He was from Germany, and he was in the car too. So we drove down Pat Kelly Road, and we parked, and we had flashlights with us, and we were going to go look at the tombstones.
Yes.
Quote unquote. We were going to look at them. Mm-hmm. Well, we went out to the graveyard, and we were looking at some tombstones. Well, here are my other two girlfriends in their outfits walking up. I freak out. Everyone starts running to the car, and she, to this day, like, they started coming towards the car, like they were all mad that we were there, and she told everyone in high school that she was chased by KKK members.
No.
And she's still, to this day, she's like, "Are you serious? Were you guys playing a trick on me?" I'm like, "Yes, that was totally us." But yeah, I mean, we could have, those girls could have gotten freaking shot.
Oh, yeah.
They were, I mean, it was
definitely.
realistic. It was bad. I mean, now that I think about it,
Yeah.
it was bad.
You don't think about that when you're
exactly,
young and-
but yeah, it was. But yeah, she was convinced that she was chased by the KKK.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Anyway, sorry, go on. You said Pat Kelly Road. So.
Yeah, I know. Okay, the next one is Majestic Theater, and I don't know how to say this town's name.
Okay.
Chillicothe? I don't know. It's Chillicothe.
That's not English.
I don't know. Anyway, since the Majestic Theater was built back in 1852, it has earned itself a reputation as one of the most haunted locations that Ohio has to offer. It was originally the Masonic Opera House, and during the 1918 influenza epidemic, the overflow of corpses was stored there.
Ooh, no.
It is said that blood and vital fluids from the bodies was pumped into the alley to the rear of the building, earning it the nickname Blood Alley.
Barf.
There are lots of spooky tales that have been told about the various ghosts that haunt the theater. The most commonly cited ghost has been named Elizabeth and is said to be a young woman. On one occasion, she was recorded in the theater asking, "How do I get out of here?" There are also plenty of shadow figures and strange mists seen in the auditorium, and the Knight's Room up on the second floor is a popular place to capture photographs with strange orbs of light in them. If you visit Woodlawn Cemetery in Dayton, Ohio by day, then the word that you would probably choose to describe it would be picturesque. The burial ground doubles up as an arboretum.
What? What is that?
And it boasts a wonderful selection of trees shadowing the pathways that meander around Lake Goose. However, by night, Woodlawn Cemetery takes on a much creepier feel. Many witnesses have reported a female spirit who is usually described as wearing a red shirt and jeans with a blue sweater around her waist. She is said to wander forlornly through the trees. Other spirits that are seen here include a young boy and his dog. They are said to have drowned in the canal after the boy fell in and his dog attempted to rescue him. Many people are so touched by the tale that they leave trinkets at his memorial, and some say they have heard the boy sobbing and his dog whining.
Oh,
Well, that's sad.
I know.
Mudhouse Mansion in Lancaster. Mudhouse Mansion, or the Hartman Place as it's known locally, is an abandoned brick mansion built in the mid-1800s. It has long been believed that the house holds some very sinister secrets. This belief is fueled by the fact that the current owner is highly protective of the property and aggressively presses charges against any trespassers.
Oh.
Locals have taken this as confirmation that there is indeed something to hide. According to legend, the original owner was a cruel master to his servants and kept them in foul conditions in the building's basement. However, one night the servants escaped and murdered the family in their beds.
Oh, shit.
Another owner is said to have murdered his wife before committing suicide because she was having an affair. Yet another tale suggests that it was, in fact, the wife who murdered her own children. There is no telling which of these tales is accurate, but there are certainly multiple restless spirits walking the halls of this abandoned mansion.
That's so interesting. I wonder why it's all just rumor. I wonder if there's any sort of anything. I mean, there could be nothing that happened there ever.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be people just making up stuff because it's abandoned and it looks creepy, and they're just making up stories.
Yeah.
Civic Theater in Akron, Ohio. The Civic Theater, or Lowe's Theater as it was once known, was designed by a Viennese architect named John Eberson. One of its most famous features is that the ceiling can rotate and is designed to look like the night sky. One of the ghosts is believed to be the spirit of a young woman who committed suicide by jumping into the canal behind the theater. She's been seen standing at the edge weeping. Another of the resident ghosts is the spirit of a janitor named Fred, who was a longtime employee of the theater. He is said to attack anyone who makes a mess in his bathrooms.
Oh, shit.
Finally, the third spirit is a male entity who sits in the balcony. Nobody knows who he is, but he is clearly distinguishable from Fred thanks to the fact that he is always so well dressed.
Oh, wow. Is that another theater? Is that what you said?
Civic Theater.
I don't understand theaters.
I don't know.
It seems like all of them are haunted.
Sedumsville.
What?
Don't know why I said it that way. Sedumsville Rectory in Cincinnati. Sedumsville Rectory is one of the most notorious haunted locations in Ohio. It is over 100 years old and originally housed local priests from the Cincinnati area. Somewhere along the way, it apparently became the place where bad priests were placed.
Oh.
There are rumors of child abuse and dog fighting connected to the property. In 2011, a couple purchased the property and began a restoration project, only just to discover that the building had some otherworldly guests, including a demonic spirit who has affected them both profoundly. The property has been exorcised on occasion, but with no effect. It is now a popular spot for paranormal investigations.
I was going to say, I think Ghost Adventures has been there.
Which one was that?
I don't remember what it was called, but...
Sedumsville Rectory? I haven't heard of that one.
I don't know, maybe. It just sounded familiar because I remember watching a Ghost Adventures episode where it said dog fights specifically and priests.
Oh.
Like bad priests.
Okay.
So I could be wrong. It could have been some other place, but...
No. Lafayette Hotel in Marietta. The Lafayette Hotel was actually built on the ruins of another hotel, the Bellevue, which burned down in 1916. The Lafayette opened in 1918 and was managed by a man named Reno G. Hogue. He died in 1944 and passed the job down to his son, S. Durward Hogue. Seriously, it's Durward. Durward. It wasn't until Durward passed on that the paranormal activity at the hotel began, leading many to surmise that it is his ghost that haunts the third floor of the property.
Oh shit, maybe we shouldn't make fun of his name.
Lights flicker and bulbs shatter on their own. The elevator behaves strangely and will often travel up to the roof on its own. As well as the ghost of Durward, guests have noted a female apparition in Edwardian attire sitting in the Riverview Lounge. Who the hell would name their child Durward?
There's some bad names out there.
They call him Dur for short. Dur. Come here, Dur.
He said shirt. Dur for sure. God. Oh, God. Okay. Deer for sure. Oh, my gosh.
It rhymed. Shut up. Oh my god. Okay. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
The Bisman Building in Mansfield. Built in 1886 by the same architect that designed the Ohio State Reformatory, it's of little wonder that its eerie facade bears such a striking resemblance. Obviously, I cannot read tonight. Okay. Alright. Shut up. It does. It doesn't just share its physical appearance with the reformatory, but it also shares a film appearance too. Shawshank Redemption, perhaps one of the greatest movies of all time, used this as a filming location too.
Oh, cool.
If you have seen the film, the building is used as the entrance to the Brewer Hotel, where Brooks and Red stayed after they were paroled from Shawshank. Not only has it made appearances in film, but it is also the focus of numerous paranormal TV shows, including Ghost Asylum and Ghost Hunter / Taps, to name but a couple. The reports of paranormal here are rife, with a common feeling of dread and sadness, particularly on the third floor. Many people report an overwhelming sensation of darkness when on this floor. Disembodied footsteps, voices being poked and pushed, black shadows, and dark figures caught in images are some of the more common occurrences. On past investigations here, investigators have received audible responses to their questions. One particular piece of audio evidence was when an investigator asked if they could speak to Ruthie, and a voice was caught saying, "Is Ruthie here?" In addition, people have witnessed the spirit of a woman throughout the upper floors, people in Victorian clothing, and sounds of people working.
That's crazy.
I know. Ridges Asylum in Athens. Ridges Asylum originally opened in 1874. It was known as the Athens Asylum for the Insane. It had 2 wings, one for the female patients and one for the male patients. The most violent patients were housed at the outermost tip of each wing. By the start of the 1900s, the asylum had become dangerously overcrowded, and rumors of inhumane treatment at the hands of overworked staff were building. However, the asylum lasted longer than many from the same time. It was not officially closed until 1993. Some parts of the building are still in use, while others lie abandoned. One of the most chilling sights is the outline of a body which remains where Margaret Schilling died in 1979. She apparently got lost in the disused part of the hospital in winter of 1978-1979 and was not found for more than a month.
Oh my god.
When the corpse was eventually removed, it left a stain that could never be washed away. She is one of the many ghosts who is said to walk the asylum at night. There's also a cemetery on the grounds which holds over 2,000 bodies and is said to have several spirits of its own.
Oh my god.
That's bad.
Yeah. Over a month?
That's not... yeah.
Like, did nobody even notice she was gone?
Well, it was overcrowded, so
That's
they might not have.
That's terrible.
Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio. Ohio State Reformatory served as a reformatory for young offenders starting in 1886 before becoming an adult prison, which remained in operation until December 1990. During its operation, it was home to some violent prisoners. Indeed. One of the most brutal punishments used at the prison was to throw the inmate in the hole, a dark and claustrophobic solitary confinement cell. The prison is now regarded by many as the most haunted building in Ohio, with a wide variety of paranormal activity, including apparitions, unexplained noises, and a malevolent presence in the hole. It's very high on the list of haunted prisons in the country, too. That's all I had on that. And I also did some monsters of Ohio.
Okay.
So the first one is the Loveland Frogmen. In 1955, a man was traveling through Loveland, Ohio, when he saw 3 mysterious creatures. Of course, the story has many versions, so he either saw them near Branch Hill or over or under a bridge on the Little Miami River. The unnamed man claims that he saw the figures, which were about 3 to 4 feet tall, conversing with one another. The creatures had leathery skin and the faces of frogs. In addition to their amphibian attributes, they also had a wand that they waved over their head, which naturally scared the passerby. The stories of the Loveland Frogmen have been repeated throughout the decades, with the most recent sighting taking place in 2016. A young couple was out playing Pokemon Go when they claimed to see a giant frog-like creature that stood on 2 legs and walked towards them.
And the wand is what scared?
It's not their frog face. It was the wand.
Or it's a giant 4-foot tall frog. What the fuck? Oh my god.
I don't know. My next one is the Grass Man. Have you ever seen 3-toed footprints in Cuyahoga Valley National Park? You may have been hot on the trail of one of Ohio's most legendary cryptids, the Grassman. Often referred to as the Eastern Bigfoot, the Grassman is reportedly 7 feet tall, 300-pound hominid.
Whoa.
According to famed cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman, the Ohio Grassmen have more human-like appearances and are more human-looking and are shorter than the classic Bigfoot. My next one is Mothman. After the first sighting of a winged creature in 1966, an Ohio copy editor dubbed the mystery creature the Mothman. Although typically associated with Point Pleasant, West Virginia, the Mothman was also active across the Ohio River in Gallipolis? I don't know. Hundreds of Mothman sightings were reported in Ohio in 1960s, but the mystery goes back centuries to the native Wyandot people that inhabited the Ohio River Valley. According to author Mark A. Hall, the Wyandots were plagued by giant flying bird-like creatures who would blend into the clouds and fog, destroying crops and plucking children from villages.
Oh god.
The Minerva Monster. Yet another Bigfoot-type creature lurks in Ohio, this time near Minerva. The Minerva monster was first spotted by the Caton family in the late 1970s when they followed the sound of their barking dogs to a pit on their property where they disposed of trash. Inside the pit, they found a massive 7-foot-tall, 300-pound creature covered in fur staring at them as they approached.
Oh no.
The creature returned to the family's property so often that it was witnessed by several other friends and family members, and even investigated by the sheriff. During the creature's final appearance at the property, 2 creatures were spotted after the home was pelted with several rocks while the family was inside. Although sightings continued in nearby counties, none were as detailed as the Caton families, whose stories remain unchanged for decades.
That's crazy.
That's creepy.
Where's the proof?
I don't know.
Why didn't they take pictures or write a report?
I don't know. Cedar Bog Monster. The Cedar Bog Monster is yet another example of Ohio's Bigfoot activity. When the Cedar Bog was first opened as a nature preserve in 1942, Ohioans reported seeing the large ape-like creature in the area. After some teenagers went missing at the bog, the existence of the monster was solidified in the minds of the people. Shortly after the bog was fenced in, reportedly to keep people from wandering in into it and to keep deer and other wildlife from straying onto the road, but hardcore fans of cryptozoology think it was designed to keep the creature inside. Orange Eyes. Not to be confused with another monster in the area at Charles Mills Lake, Orange Eyes is one of the more terror-inducing cryptids you can find in Ohio. Reported to be more than 11 feet tall, Orange Eyes lurks near Mansfield, Ohio, though he is said to have originated in Cleveland. The 1,000-pound hominid was spotted last in 1991 when it appeared to two fishermen in Mill Creek, before retreating into the nearby woods. Some locals believe that Orange Eyes was actually an alien being, due to the fact that a green beam and a UFO were spotted in the area in the 1970s. Whatever Orange Eyes was, it hasn't been seen in over 20 years.
That's crazy. That's the first alien that I would ever hear of with orange eyes, though.
Yeah, that is weird. Charles Mills Lake Monster. More well known in the area is the Charles Mills Lake Monster. This mysterious cryptid has only been documented one time. In March of 1959, teenagers Denny Patterson, Wayne Armstrong, and Michael Lane were running amok near the shores of Charles Mills Lake when they saw something that terrified them. Out of the water came a 7-foot-tall, armless hominoid. The boys noted that the creature had glowing green eyes and massive webbed feet. After the boys reported what they had seen, authorities searched the area, finding footprints that they thought resembled tracks that scuba and snorkel diving fins would leave behind.
That's interesting.
Okay, Crosswick Monster. Around 20 miles north of the Loveland Frogman's territory lies Crosswick. Although the monster hasn't been spotted in over 200 years, the legend of the Crosswick Monster is still told in the area. According to reports, 2 young boys were playing on the banks of a small creek when they were startled by a massive snake-like creature. The monster sprouted arms and snatched one of the boys, dragging him nearly 100 yards to a massive sycamore tree that was assumed to be its den.
Oh, no.
The Crosswick Monster dropped the child just outside a hole in the tree's bank. The 26-foot diameter tree was eventually chopped through by dozens of men from the town, and when the serpent creature reappeared, the men noted that it was between 12 to 14 feet tall. The monster escaped the men, crashing through a fence before darting into a cavern.
That's gigantic.
Yeah, this is the full description. It is described as being 30 to 40 feet long, 12 to 14 feet tall when erect, 16 inches in diameter, and legs 4 feet long. It is covered with scales like lizards, of black and white color with large yellow spots. Its head is about 16 inches wide with a long forked tongue, and the mouth inside is deep red. Although the Crosswick Monster was never seen again, it is remembered as one of the most believable cryptid experiences in Ohio, as more than 60 men claim to have witnessed it.
Holy shit.
That's scary.
That is totally scary. That sounds like something like accidentally crossed over from a dimension.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Especially since nobody's ever seen it again.
Yeah, that's weird.
That is crazy.
Bessie, Lake Erie Monster. What would be the point of having a massive lake if there wasn't a mysterious lake monster in it? Bessie, Lake Erie's very own monster, was first spotted in 1793. Initially, she was said to be between 30 to 40 feet in length, but as time goes on, the length of Bessie has grown. In the 1990s, a reward was even put out to anyone who could catch Bessie, although none succeeded. Some theorize that Bessie sightings could be attributed to the massive sturgeon that were once prevalent in Lake Erie, but locals insist that Bessie is real and most definitely not a sturgeon. And my last one is the Dogman. Described as a werewolf-like creature, the Dogman has reportedly been seen all throughout Ohio, including our very own Franklin County. I don't know what that means. Eyewitnesses describe the Dogman creatures as between 4 to 6 feet tall, often very muscular and with pink or gray skin. It is sometimes seen on all fours or walking bipedally. One of the most recent accounts was in 2016 in Allen County. The dog man is typically associated with Michigan, but in the past decade, several sightings have taken place throughout Ohio. What?
You almost said pie beetle.
But I didn't.
That would have been really funny if you did, though.
That's all my stories.
Okay. So I did creepy encounters with humanoid beings, and if we've already done these, I apologize, because it's getting almost impossible for me to find anything.
I know, because no one will write in any stories.
I know, like, what is that? Anyway,
They must not like us.
I don't know, but email us your stories. We want to hear them, and if you give me one story, I can at least go with a topic that I can, specifically look up. But anyway, ghouls.nightoutpodcast@gmail.com. So again, if these are familiar, if we've done these before, I apologize, but let's just do it. So first one, I'm from Indiana, and a couple years back, my mother was driving my sister and I to school. To set the stage, it was a foggier morning, and it was a stretch of road with forest on one side and a cornfield on the other. Out of the blue, this creature that we couldn't identify ran across the road, causing my mom to slam the brakes. It looked about the size of a grown man and was covered in dark hair. It was bipedal and was loping really oddly. Needless to say, it wasn't a coyote, and I've never heard of bears being in central Indiana. Admittedly, it was foggy, so I could have misidentified it. Sounds like Bigfoot.
In Indiana, in central Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, it's all
which isn't that far
cornfields.
away.
Yeah, I mean, that's like where we are.
That's creepy.
Next one, I've never had an experience myself, but do believe in this and similar phenomena. I have never spoken with my girlfriend about this subject, unknown humanoids or any paranormal occurrences for that matter. On Friday night, she and I were at a friend's house and decided to leave at around 1 a.m. It's very foggy outside, being that we live near rivers and creeks in rural Illinois. She goes to the gas station on her way home to the rural town where we both live, about a block away from each other. I get home and don't hear from her for a bit until she calls me very shaken up and crying. She says on her drive home, she saw something crouched in the road on the right side. It looked to be fairly small, possibly a child. She rolled down her window and asked if they were okay. She got no answer, only continued sobbing. She pulls over and gets out of the car and walked up. I know! Walked up to whatever this was and attempted to ask if it needed help. The thing stands up on 2 feet at over 6 feet.
Oh my God.
Lets out a god-awful screech and runs off of the road into some pretty dense woods near a tributary of the Kaskaskia River. Kaskaskia. That's what it says.
Okay.
She can't say if it was a boy or girl, but can say she's never heard something like that before. She's pretty jarred by the experience.
Don't get out of your car.
Yeah, there's a few issues I have with this story.
Yeah.
Even rolling down the window.
No, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
when you were reading that, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then she got out, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Just
don't.
Yeah. To each, I mean, and anyway. This happened in the middle of the night at my mom's house some years back in Northern California. I was asleep on the floor in the living room. Next to the living room is a room that can be seen through 2 large windows and French doors. We call it the middle room. Next to that, it was my mom's dad. Next to that was my mom and stepdad's bedroom. The light in the middle room was left on, partly dimmed at nights. I woke up and saw 3 short gray aliens walking around in the middle room. They were about 5 feet tall, had long, skinny arms, and were wearing dark-colored jumpsuits. The arms stood out to me the most because of how thin they were and no muscle tone like you would see in a human. The eyes looked solid black and were larger than a human's, though not as large as shown in some depictions. I don't remember about the nose or mouth other than the features were small and not noticeable. I don't remember any details about the hands. I was able to sit up part way as I was watching them, but had no energy to do anything else. They didn't seem to notice that I was watching them. Within a couple minutes, I fell back asleep. I'm guessing that they transmitted something to keep everyone passed out, but sometimes it doesn't always work 100%. Here's the kicker. In the morning, my mom walked in and said the aliens were there the night before. I then told her that I saw them too and asked her how many of them that there were and what they looked like. Her description matched what I had seen. She had other alien encounters, but this was the only time there was a witness, me. So she was like, oh yeah, the aliens were back again.
I would freaking flip out.
I mean, that is not normal.
No,
that is...
And if it is normal for you, I'm so sorry.
I know, like, you're going through things that you shouldn't be going through because that's creepy. So I already see a word in this next one that I can't pronounce, so this one should be interesting. I don't remember it completely, but my grandpa once told us a story about an experience he had while he used to live on a small ranch in Mexico. He was with his older brother, so I think my grandfather was about 12 to 14 at the time. And while he was with his brother out in the ranch, they heard something behind some bushes that he said sounded like singing. He and his brother both went to investigate it, and when they looked behind the bush, they saw a couple of little people. Duende? Does that sound like a Spanish word?
I don't know.
So that I'm assuming that's what it is. I'm going to go with that. It's what they called him in Mexico. They didn't see my grandpa or his brother, and his brother suggested that they both get out of there before they were seen. They returned home, and I'm not sure if they ever saw them again after that. So, just a couple of little people is all it said, behind a bush.
That reminds me of, like, the Fae or fairy.
Yeah, or gnomes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially for some reason in Mexico, gnomes are like a thing there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean every time I've heard of like little supernatural or paranormal, any little people like that, it's usually in Mexico.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Next one, an investigation / shamanic.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Group on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota was called in to investigate and bless a home. The incidents began when two sisters observed a black-eyed boy outside the home. Not long later, a group of ashen white-skinned children with black eyes were seen congregating around the property.
Black-eyed kids.
Oh my gosh, they're so creepy.
I hate them.
Yeah, they were in an attempt to interact with the other children living there. The first two occasions, there were only 2 of them, and they asked to be let inside of the house to get food. The third time, a third one showed up, and this time they asked for blood.
What?
They were never granted access to the home, and the children described their voices as, quote, not normal, robotic, or monotone.
Oh.
Pets also went missing around this time around the property, and the parents of the children recalled seeing these spooky children as well. They also claimed that they noticed strange events around their home, including poltergeist activity and the sighting of, on at least 2 occasions, strange entities that they later thought to be alien. Sounds like the freaking Skinwalker Ranch. It's like a lot of shit going on in one location. Super scary. Next one, when I was camping with my family several years ago, my father and I were out walking in the dark with flashlights when we heard something chirping like a person doing a shitty imitation of a bird call. We stopped and shined our flashlights around and then up into the trees. The beam landed on something, maybe 3 feet tall, standing up, humanoid, crouching with its hands holding on to the branches. It was hairless and very pale-skinned, pretty much white. Its head was abnormally large and had 2 huge eyes and bat-like ears. We only saw it for a split second because my dad jerked the flashlight away when he first saw it, and when he tried to find it again with the flashlight, it was gone without a trace. I asked my dad if he had seen that, and he had, and we were both very perplexed by it. When I've told other people this story, they speculate that it could have been an owl or some other animal, but my dad and I are fairly experienced outdoors and sportsmen, and we had never seen anything that looked like that before or since. I went back and double-checked with my mother, and she's fairly certain this took place at a campground near Stanley, Idaho, at Lola Creek Campground. She also told me that we had left early because there was something moving around the campsite that night that spooked my dad, which I only learned just now. So, their whole experience was creepy.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. This encounter happened only 2 years ago while I was living with my parents in Texas. At the time, I was waking up from a short nap and did not see it as anything unusual. I just figured it was some kind of partially dream or something like that. I was napping on my bed. At the time, I had a futon, which wasn't too far off the ground, in the middle of the day. I can't remember the exact timing of when this took place to save my life. I opened my eyes and saw for only a second the image of a white humanoid creature kneeling on its haunches looking at me. It couldn't have been that tall since its eyes were only inches above my bed. I could see the top of its knees, which were resting its head against. While I can't remember many details about its face, I knew somehow that it wasn't entirely right, or for lack of a better term. I can't remember if it even had any hair on its head or the color of its eyes, but I can remember its skin was very pale and looked as if it was just skin and bones. I don't know why the image of the creature was so vivid, even though I only saw it for a second. Even to this day, it stands out. I only recently been able to give a name to this thing since I saw a post describing these types of creatures as quote-unquote crawlers.
Ooh, I've heard of that.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's creepy. What, do they just watch you sleep?
I don't remember, but I've heard that name before.
Ooh. Next one.
Kind of reminded me of a rake.
Yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah.
Ugh, that is creepy. I don't like that. Okay. Next one, around 6 years ago when I was 13, my younger brother and I were in the backyard. We saw what looked like a man in an Olympic-style bike wearing bright orange and a helmet. This orange seemed to glow over his skin, too. This lasted only 3 seconds, and it appeared to come through the yard fence like a ghost going through walls, and then it left out the other side. There was no movement in the bike wheels or the man moving. It just glided as a still image. I remember feeling something like intense dread and also disgust. Sounds weird, but it was like if you caught your parents having sex, that sort of feeling. So we both ran inside straight away, of course. We both still remember this to this day, but are still just clueless as to what it was.
That's weird.
It is super weird. I've never heard anything like that. Now, I mean, that feeling is very specific as
Yeah.
well, because they felt dread and disgust.
That's weird.
That is super weird. I love it.
Especially if it's just someone on a bike.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That is weird. That's crazy. Okay. Next one, a good friend of mine has been followed by some kind of being ever since she was born. She describes it as something similar to a shadow person with blue eyes.
Ooh.
It wakes her up every night and is accompanied by a small group of other, quote, shadow people, often without eyes. They stand at the other end of her bedroom and watch her, but often wake her up by pulling her arms, legs, or head.
What the fuck?
This pulling also happens every night. Her mom said she has been waking up with this weird way ever since she was very young. They don't speak, but they do make low noises sometimes. The blue-eyed ones also follow her around during the day quite often.
Oh my gosh.
That is horrifying. That poor thing. How would you live?
I don't know.
That's insane. And my last one. Almost every week, my wife and I go to a friend's house on Friday nights. A few months ago, one of my friends said she had been noticing lights in the sky. She said they were multicolored, red, green, white, and blue in a cross pattern. One night we were hanging out and I had to relieve myself. So I walked to the side of the shed and did what needed to be done. When I looked up, I saw him. He was about 4 feet tall and pale white. He had a normal-sized head for a creature his size, not the stereotypical big-headed, big-eyed gray, and beady eyes. There were no clothing, and while I saw no genitalia, I just sort of saw he was a he. When he saw I noticed him, he scurried away behind the shed. I went after him, but when I rounded the corner, he was gone. Since then, I have seen him one other time in the same situation. Neither time I was afraid. In fact, I felt a certain level of calm and peace. The way you do when you walk out of church or have one drink past being buzzed. I don't know who or what he is, but I want to. Weird.
That's weird.
And those were my stories for the week.
All right. It's time for the witty wrap-up.
Yay, Witty Wrap-Up!
And this one is a group activity.
Oh, okay.
I did tongue twisters. So we are going to take turns doing a tongue
Oh,
twister.
gosh, I'm not good at this stuff.
Okay, so I'll do the first one.
Okay.
And this one is a well-known tongue twister. It is Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick?
That's an easy one.
Okay, do number 2.
Okay. Oh my god, I've never heard this one before. How can a clam cram in a clean cream can? How can a clam cram in a clean cream can?
Okay, number 3. Denise sees fleece. Denise sees fleas. At least Denise can sneeze and feed and freeze the fleas.
Oh my gosh! No! Which one am I on?
4.
Okay. Sheena leads, Sheila needs. Sheena leads, Sheila needs. Am I saying that right?
I guess.
Sheena leads, Sheila needs.
Okay. The 33 thieves thought that they thrilled the throne throughout Thursday. The 33 thieves thought that they thrilled the throne throughout Thursday.
That reminds me of the post that I posted on Facebook where he was like, I am Thor. And the other guy was like, here, take the mathprin. Oh, yeah. That one was funny. Oh, my God, you gave me like a paragraph. Oh, God, okay. Are you ready for this?
Okay, let's go.
Something in a 30-acre thermal thicket of thorns and thistles thumped the thunder, threatening the 3 thoughts of Matthew the Thug. Although theoretically, it was only the 13,000 thistles of thorns through the underneath of his thigh that the 30-year-old thug thought of that morning. That was horrible. saying words.
Okay. Can you can a can as a canner can a can?
Can a can as a canner can a can. That doesn't even make sense. That is nothing. That's just the word can over and over again. Oh my gosh. Okay. Seth at Sainsbury's sells thick socks. That wasn't that hard.
Okay. Roberta ran rings around the Roman ruins.
Clean cans cram in clean cans. Clean clams crammed in clean cans. I don't know.
Okay. Six sick hicks. Nick. Hold on, let me start over. Okay. Where is it? Six sick hicks. Nick six slick bricks with picks and sticks.
What? Oh my gosh, okay. Seriously? Okay, you guys. This is okay. I wish to wish the wish you wish to wish. But if you wish the witch wishes. I won't wish the wish you wish to wish.
Oh my gosh, Where are we at?
I just did the wish.
Oh, okay. All right. Here's mine. Superstition.
What? That's not fair. And I get another paragraph. There was a fisherman named Fisher who fished for some fish in a fisher till a fish with a grin
Oh, what?
pulled the fisherman in. Now they're fishing in the fisher for Fisher. You got a big long one now.
Oh, man. Okay. To sit in solemn silence in a dull, dark dock in a pestilential prison with a lifelong lock, awaiting the sensation of a short, sharp shock from a cheap and chippy chopper on a big black block, to sit in solemn silence in a dull, dark dock in a pestilential prison with a lifelong lock, awaiting the sensation of a short, sharp shock from a cheap and chipper chopper on a big black block, a dull, dark dock, a lifelong lock, a short, sharp shock, a big black block, to sit in solemn silence in a pestilential prison and awaiting the sensation from a cheap and chippy chopper on a big black block.
What?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Picky people pick Peter Pan peanut butter. 'Tis peanut butter picky people pick.
If Stu choose shoes, should Stu choose the shoes he choose? If Stu choose shoes, should Stu choose the shoes he choose?
Oh God. Okay. Luke Luck likes lakes. Luke's duck licks lakes. Luke Luck licks lakes. Luke's duck licks lakes. Ducks take licks in lakes. Luke Luck likes. Luke Luck takes licks in lakes. Ducks likes. That's what it says.
Okay. There are those 1,000 thinkers were thinking, how did the other 3 thieves go through?
Okay, then.
Okay.
Santa short suit shrunk. What? Santa short shoot. I can't say this one. Santa short suit shrunk. Santa short suit shrunk. That one was hard. I had a hard time with that one.
I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream.
That's not hard. That's not fair. Wayne went to Wales to watch walruses.
1-1 was a racehorse. 2-2 was 1-2. 1-1-1 one race. 2-2-1-1-2.
Oh, 2-2. Oh, here's the last one. 6 sleek swans swam swiftly southwards. That wasn't too bad.
And that's all for the witty wrap up.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. Please send in your stories. We don't really care anymore. It's getting really hard to find stuff, so we might have to branch out if we don't start getting stories. So send us in your stories. Send us...
You're doing a tongue twister.
I am.
Send us in your stories.
GhoulsNightOutPodcast@gmail.com. Look us up on Facebook. You can rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen. You can also recommend us on Facebook. We would appreciate it. And we will talk to you next week.
Later.
Bye.